Our business is electric, but we get our power from you.
Hi, welcome to another little video that I put together. I'm Shannon Clark, the CEO and General Manager of Richland Electric Cooperative, and today I want to take a little time to talk with you, our members, about not only what we've done, but what we're doing and what we plan to do in the future. I've talked with you a little bit about what our pandemic plan was about, how we worked with that, and how we looked at this much like we would any other emergency. Anything that disrupts the normal flow of business is what we planned for. So we had a plan to figure out how we would move our employees out of the office, how we would isolate our line workers, how we would keep the lights on, all of those things that you could kind of anticipate that you might have to do. But we also have a plan for what we're going to do during. Now, I will admit that normally it's around some other type of emergency that might only last for a week or maybe 10 days. We certainly didn't have a plan that anticipated that we could be out of the office for months on end, and hopefully we won't be. But nonetheless, we have to be able to move along and do the business day to day that we're required to do as your electric cooperative. During the pandemic plan and during the implementation of that plan, there's a lot of things that have to continue to operate. We still have to take calls, we still have to fix outages, but we still have to run our billing, we still have to read meters, we still have to file reports. We're dealing with some things that are typical for this spring. Our audit, our board will approve that. They'll do that without the normal circumstances where our auditor actually comes in, talks with the board. We'll be doing that across conference calls and other means of communication. And speaking of communication, we also have to be able to talk to our staff and to our employees and to be able to keep them up to speed on what's going on. Normally, that might just be a parting conversation in a hallway, or it might be a full-fledged staff meeting, or maybe 2 or 3 people get together. And those meetings are always very valuable because while we may have one subject that we want to talk about, often when we are all together, it's convenient to maybe bring up those other things that are going on in the cooperative. So we have to pay a lot more attention to our communications and the way we're going to communicate. And it's a little harder when you're doing it by conference call, when you're doing it by Zoom video or maybe Microsoft Teams, some of the services that are out there to provide for that. But nonetheless, we have to do it. And we have to continue to operate our business. We have to run the electric billing system. We have to run the accounting system. We have to continue to pay our bills. We have to continue to order equipment and materials that we might need, particularly when you look at the threat of bad weather, and maybe we'll have outages. And we're trying to do as much as we can in as normal a fashion as we can during this pandemic. And then, of course, whenever you're away from home or away from the office, there's always got to be something that seems to come up that you hadn't anticipated. One of the things we never thought we'd have to do is figure out how to do an annual meeting. Our annual meeting is a very important part of our electric cooperative. Now, it seems maybe mundane to many who come to the annual meeting, and we typically have breakfast and we give some reports, we have some door prizes, and it doesn't maybe seem as important as it really is from the members looking in towards the co-op. But from our point of view, it's one of the most important things of our co-op. It's where members have their voices heard in the election of directors. Now, we've done that by mail ballots, and that's really suited us well as a result of this pandemic. We've been able to utilize that and hold our elections pretty much as normal. We also have to deal with the things like annual reports. Our bylaws require us to provide you, the members, with information. It's very specific information. We have to notice our annual meeting, give you plenty of time to be able to attend. We have to have reports for you to read, for you to vote on. Treasurer's report, which are the financials. This is your co-op. This is basically our report to you about how your business is doing. So it's really an important part, not to mention the fact that it's governed by law. It's governed by Wisconsin state statutes as well as by Richland Electric Co-op bylaws, which have the same force and effect as statutes. So we have a couple of things. One is the state law is not very clear. In fact, it doesn't even really say that you can hold an annual meeting virtually. We can't hold it via Facebook. We can't do it via Zoom media or whatever type of platform you have. And frankly, that really wouldn't be fair anyway, because a lot of our members don't have internet and they need to have a voice just like others. So we think we've come up with something pretty unique here. It's probably the only one that we've heard of. We've had a lot of calls after we've announced that we're holding our annual meeting, and we're going to do this drive-in annual meeting. I won't spend a lot of time with it, but I will tell you this. This is extremely important. We have to have 50 members at our annual meeting. That's the requirements for a quorum. We need to get our directors seated for their election and get them operating. And there's been an election. We only had one contested race this year, but one is very important. So we have to do these things. We need 50 members at this drive-in annual meeting. You're going to see a lot of stuff and hear a lot of things on the radio, so I won't get into a lot of details, but just to tell you a couple simple things. One, we're going to hold it on April 25th at 10 a.m. I can't say enough thanks to WRCO and particularly Ron Fruit for helping us out with this. Without them, this would not even be possible. WRCO, their sister station, 107.7, is going to carry the annual meeting on the air, as well as on 1450 a.m. So you'll be able to drive into our service center. That's where we hold the annual meeting, or our member appreciation picnic, and it's out by the county highway shop just out past the fairgrounds. Members will drive into the driveway. They'll be greeted by a parking attendant. That parking attendant will find out who that member is. Hopefully you can bring your postcard or your annual meeting book. Just show it through the window. We'll record you. And if you're one of the first 50 members, we're going to put a $25 credit on your light bill. That's how important it is that we get enough members to this meeting. If you're not one of the first 50, there's something for you too. We'll give you a $10 credit on your light bill because we still want as many members as we can get to attend. But it's going to be kind of unique. Everybody's going to be situated like a drive-in movie theater. You're going to be given a place to park. You're going to tune your radio to 107.7 FM, most likely, or 1450 AM. And you're going to be able to hear as a couple of people from the co-op deliver the annual meeting reports and the elections. So you'll sit in your car, in the comfort of your car, be able to listen to that on the radio station, and you'll be able to vote. And we're going to, instead of you holding up a card, you're going to have to honk your horn. And if you've got questions, we're going to ask you to honk your horn, and then we'll get the questions. We'll have both cell phone numbers that you can call from your car, you can text, or you can simply honk your horn, wave your hand, and we'll send somebody out, not very close. You can roll down your window, you can yell the question to them. They'll bring it to the front, and we'll answer those questions. So we've got to make sure the meeting gives everybody an opportunity. But overall, we think it's kind of neat. It's going to be a little bit different. We can go ahead and get this done. Our bylaws require us to have our annual meeting in February, March, or April. April 25th, it's getting kind of close to the deadline, but we think we can do that. Now, I know that members probably would have been willing to let us hold this later. They probably don't view it as that critical, but we view it as very critical. So to the effect that we can follow our bylaws, we can get our elections done, and we do it within the confines of the existing state law, we're very pleased to be able to do that. I've had a few questions about when will this end? When will this all be over with? And I don't know the answer to that, and I don't think many people do. There's calls to get the economy going. We certainly need that. But there's also calls for making sure that people stay safe. Well, that's absolutely important as well. So it's going to take some effort to find the right balance. Will we go back to work and do things as normal in a completely risk-free environment? Probably not. I think this thing's going to stick around for a little while. How bad? That's yet to be determined, and I'll leave that up to the people who know far more about it than I do. But I do know this, that the electric co-op is going to have to continue to serve needs. So when it's over, we'll have to go return to work, and we have a plan for that. It's pretty much the reverse of how we got into it. When we came into it, we said we're going to do this, that, and the other thing. Now we're probably going to do the other thing, that, and this, and we're just going to reverse. That'll take a couple of days, and then it'll take a little while to get kind of caught up and reoriented. Then the challenges really begin. I've seen what's happened during the 4 weeks that we've been out now, and if this goes for another 4 or another 8, the results are going to be very significant. We have a considerable amount of our members that are not working. We have some of our largest business customers that are closed down. Schools are still not running. We're not selling electricity like we did. In fact, I would venture a guess that our sales are off by about 25%. Now, you might ask, what happens when you have 25% of your sales disappear? Well, the good news is that we also don't have the energy bill to pay for that because people didn't use that electricity. Unfortunately, at home, a lot of people's electric usage is going to go up because they're spending more days in the house. So we're going to have to work through that, and we're going to have to figure out just how bad of an impact was this on the co-op. I expect it to be significant. A 25% reduction in revenue probably means about a 12% reduction in margins, a 12% reduction or 12% reduction in fixed operating revenues. So we run on about 4% margin a year. That's all we get out of everything that when all the bills are paid. And that, of course, is returned in capital credits. If we see 25% reductions, Richland Electric Co-op will lose money through the year, and we're prepared for that. We've talked with our banking, the Cooperative Finance Corporation, which is a cooperatively owned bank that we work with. We have a great relationship with them. We're not alone in this. There's going to be a lot of things that we'll have to work through. Ultimately, we'll have to collect for the bills for the energy that we sold. We'll have to deal with that. And then we'll have to deal with the expenses that we've had when we didn't have the money to pay for it. Clearly, right now, we're operating at a loss, and we can do that for a while. We've planned for things like this. It happens every once in a while. Certainly not for the length of time this is. And overall, we'll have to make the cooperative at least somewhat whole. We'll make some sacrifices. We'll never be back where we were for quite some time, and we're not going to burden ratepayers with that initial item. But we all know that we have to pay our bills, and both the co-op has to pay its bills, and us as members, we have to pay our bills. We're encouraging people to stay on top of their electric bill while you're not getting disconnected or you're not having late fees charged right now. Eventually, they'll have to be paid because, as I said, there's not much for the co-op to give there. We've got to pay other people for the services that they provided. So we'll have to deal with that. We expect it to be a significant financial challenge, and we'll be able to handle it. It's just a matter of how long we go and how long we'll have to take to recover. But overall, I said this before, we'll get through this. We'll get through it together. It may not be fun. I'm sure it's going to be uncomfortable. There's going to be times when money's going to be tight. There's going to be times when we're not going to have everything we need. But in any event, I just want to let you know that we're a member-owned cooperative. You, the members, will dictate what we do. It's not up to me as the general manager, and frankly, the board will listen to the membership as well because they know full well that they are representing you. It's not about any one board member. It's about the members represented by the board who lays out the directives for me as the manager and the staff to carry out to help you make it through times like these as well as through good times. So with that, I'll just leave it at this. I want you to stay safe to the best you can, not only avoiding contracting coronavirus, but stay safe overall. It's very easy to lose track of the other threats and perils out there that we all face. I would really appreciate it if you could find your way to the Co-op Service Center out by the fairgrounds on April 25th at 10 a.m. We'll have a little pregame show. It's going to be on 107.7 about half an hour before the show starts, so you'll get a little history about the co-op and understand what we're doing. And overall, we'll make it work. Do we know exactly how? Not quite. We will that day, though, and we trust that you, our members, will work with us to get things done. You'll understand when we maybe stammer a little bit, or we have to move something, or we have a little technical difficulty. We know you'll put up with that. And we also know that we will all do our very best to make sure that you are informed and that your electric cooperative continues to be all of the things that you need from your local utility. With that, thanks a lot. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you again when we've got more information for you. Watch for details on the annual meeting. You're going to see it in a lot of places, including on WRCO, on our Facebook page, and on our webpage. So with that, take care. I hope you all had a great Easter weekend, and we're thinking about you. Take care.
We're the folks who bring the power to keep our country strong. Your Co-op Electric serve